This video will show you how to replace the front upper grille on a Mazda 3. This will be mounted to the front of your vehicle. Let's get into it. Making our way underneath the front corner of the bumper cover, we're going to start dislodging this area. We'll start with this 8mm headed bolt on the forward shield and continue on along the corner. Continuing on, take hold of the forward panel and gently pull it down. That exposes one more 8mm headed bolt tucked up in this area. Now we can take hold of this. We're going to carefully pull it down and rearward towards our front tire, and then we can gain access behind the front bumper cover. Let's pause under this area and make our way towards the front wheel well. We have some push clips to remove. Now as you make your way up along this area, you're going to find that you have push clips that are holding the fender liner to your front bumper cover. We're going to dislodge those. For your push clips, typically you just try to remove the center to unlock it. Once you have it unlocked, you can remove the outer portion as well. For this, I'm using a trim tool. We can pull this aside. Now, right at the corner of the bumper cover, where it leads to your front fender, you're going to find a mounting bolt directly under this area, making its way straight up and through. Let's go ahead and remove that. We'll be using an 8mm. Now let's carefully separate this area. We don't want to cause any damage. You should be able to take hold of it by hand and lightly tug. At this point, we can make our way in and behind this area. You can either reach through here or you can make your way under. We have a wiring harness to dislodge. Now as we look up in this area, we can see our wiring harness leading up towards our directional. We'll disconnect our electrical connector. Now this does have a locking tab. Go ahead and squeeze that in and pull this out of place. Once you have it disconnected, a quick inspection for corrosion. That looks good. We're going to continue on by dislodging the rest of this wiring harness, making its way all the way over. Now as we make our way down here, we don't have to disconnect this electrical connector. We're going to dislodge the entire thing. Now this does have two locking tabs. Those will be accessed from the forward side of this, right along this area. To easily disconnect this, you could reach up with pliers or you could just use an 11mm socket. As far as that socket, we're going to slide it along those tabs, twist it until it presses them in, and we'll pull this out of place. Once I have it dislodged, I'll show you exactly what's happening here. Audible click, a light twist, slide it out of place. Up along the top, down along the bottom, that's those two tabs. I squeezed them in with this socket and I lightly twisted. Now we have our next electrical connector. In this instance, we do not have a fog lamp assembly, so this is attached directly to this area. Otherwise, if you had a fog lamp assembly, it's going to lead to a different connector. We have our locking tab along the bottom on this application, so I'm going to squeeze that in, pull that out of place. Now we have one more securing point all the way over in this far corner. Now for this mounting area, I'm going to be using a trim tool. You can use pretty much anything as a small prying device, flat blade screwdriver if necessary. Pull that right out of there. A quick inspection of that wiring harness, we're going to set that aside and we'll continue on. Now you need to make your way over to the other side of the vehicle and repeat this exact same process. Once you're done, you're down along the bottom of the front bumper cover. Okay, so we've got the wiring apart on the other side. Everything's broken free. Down along the bottom is where we're making our way across. As you start on either side of this area, you're going to find another push clip and then it moves into an 8mm headed mounting bolt next. Now we can take hold of the forward portion of this panel. Directly in the center, you can see where the panel goes up and above the bumper cover. We're going to carefully pull this rearward. Gently stretching it, we can slide this down. Now as we start pulling down on this shield, let's look up in this area. On each side of the vehicle, you're going to find another push clip. Same process, just go ahead and start removing the center. These are typically filled with sand. For that, I just use a tiny bit of parts cleaner to remove any debris. It should slide out of place. Let's do the same exact thing on the other side of the vehicle. This one over here. There we are. At this point, we're done in this area. Let's make our way up to the top. Up inside the engine compartment, we want to dislodge the air intake. We don't need to fully remove it. We just need to remove the two 10mm bolts so we can lift this up, which is going to expose a push pin. There's that push pin. Now over in this area, we have a couple more push pins. Now we have two Phillips head screws to remove. As far as these two Phillips head screws, it's common for the one that's more inboard towards the engine compartment to be stuck in place with rust. You can use some penetrant as necessary. Now, as we make our way across the vehicle, there's going to be some push clips, but don't worry about any of that yet. Let's make our way to the far side first. Now, as we make our way back towards the center where we have all of those push clips, there's really only one more that we're going to be dealing with, and that's this one right here. While I'm doing this, I'm holding pressure on my front bumper cover towards the vehicle so it does not fall off. I don't want anything getting damaged. If your push clips happen to fall apart, you can just slide them back together, but leave it in the unlocked position. Now we're going to take hold of the front bumper cover. You have to gently lift up. We only want to stretch, but we do not want to damage. As you lift up, pull away. We'll make our way over to the other side and do the same thing. Remove the bumper cover from the vehicle. There it is, friend. A quick inspection and we'll set this aside. Now that we have this off of the vehicle, let's make our way over to the floor so we can continue on with the removal of our front grille. Now we're on the floor and we're looking along the back side of the front bumper cover. Along either side of this bumper cover, you're going to find that you have a plastic bracket that's held in place with 4 Phillips head mounting screws. We're going to remove the bracket from both sides of the bumper cover. Do the same on the other side. Now that we have those brackets out of place, we're going to start removing some other Phillips head mounting screws. We'll start on one side and we're going to make our way across the entire way towards the other side. Should be one here. Let's continue on down the line here. The bottom center. Now we have a couple small push pins. For these, they have a Phillips head center. You typically want to try to remove the inner portion, and then you can remove the outer portion. You can use a pick or a small screwdriver as necessary. You may have to just replace these. Making our way over. Let's try to get this one out of here as well. Now, when you're finished at the bottom, make your way up towards where the headlamp area would be. We have two more of those plastic push clips, one on either side of the bumper cover. There's that one. There we are. And now we can focus on this piece. Now up along the top area of the bumper cover, we have plastic push clips, but we also have a few rivets that we're going to need to drill out. If you find your rivet spins while you're attempting to drill, you can hold it still using a small pocket screwdriver. Now it's time for some plastic push pins. I'm using a small pick for my push pins. As far as these push pins are concerned, carefully press in on the center to unlock it, and then you can remove the outer portion as well. Now to reset each one of these push pins for the installation, we're going to take the far end of it and then press it through. Once you see it protruding up like it is here, that's in the unlocked position. We'll just go ahead and set those aside. We'll use them again for the installation process. Do the same to all. Now if you were to look along what would be the front of this, you're going to find that you have a chrome bezel making its way all the way along this outer edge. There's several locking tabs that we can see protruding through this area. Now for these tabs, we're going to carefully use a flat blade screwdriver. pull the locking tab away, and then press the chrome trim piece away from this panel. Just work on this. There we are. That one's pressing down and through. So you can see it's starting to separate in the middle already, so that's good news. As we make our way over, this one's already separated. Press that one through. We got one more over on the far side. That one's very difficult to see. There's our trim panel. You can set that aside. Continuing on, we want to remove this upper plastic panel. Now keep in mind, this plastic panel is paint matched to the color of your vehicle. We don't want to crack it by bending it too much. We'll take hold of the panel and gently start pulling it away. You can give it a slight wiggle. It should want to separate. So now we're going to start separating this upper plastic panel from the grill panel. You're going to find that you have locking tabs and Phillips head screws that have to be removed. We'll start by removing all of the Phillips head screws, making their way across, and then we'll continue on with our locking tabs. We have two in the center here. Now all of the bolts are out of there. As far as these locking tabs, they're fairly simple to dislodge. Just go ahead and take hold of each panel separately and gently start pulling them apart. Typically these will just dislodge fairly simply. A little wiggle, a gentle pull, and slide it away. If you can't, look directly in the center of the locking tab area. Use a flat blade screwdriver. Make your way down towards where the grill assembly is, lift up on the locking tab, and start separating the area. As you're applying light pressure separating, continue on down the line for each one of your locking tabs. Remove the upper panel from your grill assembly. Now we're looking along the front of the grill assembly. There's still a couple more areas that we need to remove. We have this plastic bar that makes its way across the bottom. We also have our license plate bracket to be removed. We'll wait on the license plate bracket. Let's continue on with this bar. Now to remove this area, we're back along the back side. We have several more locking tabs to dislodge. So we're starting next to the upper corner of the grill. We can see one of our locking tabs here. We'll pop this, gently start separating, continue on to the next locking tabs. We'll make our way all the way around. Same process as before, just press in on the tab, gently press this away. Pressing in, pressing away. Let's lift this up. There's our two plastic panels. We can set those aside. Along the front area of the grill, it's time to remove our license plate bracket. Inside of each of these two ports, there's 10mm headed mounting bolts. Remove the pair and the bracket. There it is, friend. Now it's time for installation of our grill assembly. For this, we're going to start with the license plate bracket across the front, line it up, start in those mounting bolts, and snug those up. Now we have these trim panels here, several locking tabs making their way across, and of course those are going to align with their corresponding ports on the grill assembly. Line it up and press it in. Make sure we're perfectly aligned all the way. Just double check to make sure those are secured. Repeat the process for the other panel. Now it's time for the upper panel. As far as this is concerned, we have an area here for a locking tab. We have a locating tab, and then several ports for some mounting screws. Let's start with the locating and locking tabs first. You can see my locating tab. We'll just pivot this as necessary. Now I can tell that I am aligned, so I'm going to press in my locking tabs. And install all 6 of my Phillips head mounting screws, making their way across this area. Now we have that painted body piece. If you were to look along either side, you can see that we have a locking tab. And if you were looking at the grill assembly, you can see where that tab needs to go. We also have this groove that makes its way across. That's where this panel needs to sit inside of. So we're going to align it on both sides. Once you feel as though you have it aligned, continue on by pressing it in, making sure that it's latched in. Just double check here. That looks good. This side, this needs to go in there. There we are. Along the top of this, we have to install push pins and rivets into their corresponding areas. Now, if you don't have rivets, you could use push pins for these areas if necessary. As far as these push pins are concerned, we want to make sure we have them in the unlocked position. We're driving in the outer portion, locking it in by pressing in the center. Now it's going to be time to install our rivets. We want to find some that have the proper diameter to fit directly inside the ports. They should be a snug fit. Give them a wiggle, press them in, and then continue on by fully installing the rivet. We're using our rivet installer. There we are. Make sure that there's no tip in the middle here that somebody could potentially get hurt on. Continue on to all other rivets, repeating this process as necessary. Perfect. Now we have our chrome panel. Looking at this, we have several locking tabs. We want to make sure that aligns with the grill assembly, and then we're going to gently squeeze this together, locking it in. Now keep in mind, this also has mounting screws from the backside. Let's turn this over. Now along the backside, at this point, we're only using our small size mounting bolts. The larger mounting bolts are going to be to hold the grill assembly to the bumper cover and also for the mounting brackets which are attached in this area. Let's start with those smaller size bolts first. Right here, we have a piece of damaged hardware, as we remember. Now we have our 2 center screws. We'll make our way all the way up the other side. Now along either side, we have our plastic bracket with our locator tab. If you were looking at the bracket itself, you can see the screw ports, but you can also see that you have the alignment tab ports right next to those. Those are attached to the grill assembly itself. Let's slide this bracket over those alignment tabs. That should align the bolts. We'll start in all 4 of those bolts and snug them up. Do the same on the other side. Now let's take that grill. We're going to place it over along the back side of our bumper cover. Looking along the area where the grill is supposed to sit, you can see all of our mounting bolt ports. Let's line this up and start in all of our mounting hardware. Now at this point, we're going to have to pivot the bumper cover. So I'm going to start with the very center. We'll have it started in loosely. We'll pivot the bumper cover so all other areas connect as they should. Start in that hardware as well. We'll leave that loose for now. Bringing this up, I can see where my mounting bolt ports are. For all of these mounting screws, we're using the larger mounting screws. Now that we have all the mounting screws in, it's time for our plastic push clips. I'm starting down along the bottom. As far as our push clips are concerned, we want to carefully press the outer portion through the plastic. Once you have it pressed all the way through, we're going to lock it in position with the center. Go ahead and drive that right in. We want to make sure this is secured together and repeat the process on the other side. Then we'll continue on up along the top. Up along the top where our headlamp port would be, you can see where the next set of push clips is going to go, one along each side. One last quick inspection along the back side here, and we can get this back over to the vehicle. Now, before we install that bumper cover, we just want to have a quick peek along the front of the vehicle, confirming that everything's properly aligned and in place, especially in the areas where our mounting tabs are going to slide into. We have one port here and one that looks exactly the same on the other side. As we bring the front bumper cover over towards being in position, we need to pay attention along each side. We don't want to scuff our fenders. Assuming that looks good, we're going to continue along the center area. We have to make sure we lift the center up and over where our hood latch is, and also need to bring it underneath our air intake system here. Now, once you feel as though you have it in the proper position and you can install some mounting hardware, continue on with your mounting screws. Once you feel as though you have this up in place where you can start in your 4 Phillips head mounting screws, go ahead and start those in, but we are not snugging them yet. We have 2 on each side. Now that I have all those in, we're continuing on with some push pins. You can see why I had to leave those loose. We need to make sure we align our push pin ports next. For those push pins, we're driving in the outer portion, locking them in with the center. Continue on down the line. Keep in mind there is one underneath this area. We'll tighten those 4 mounting screws. We're going to reinstall our air inlet tube next. Start in those long 10mm headed mounting bolts, snug them up. Now we're making our way towards each side of the vehicle's wheel well. We're making our way over towards that wheel well, paying attention to the bumper cover in comparison to the bottom of our headlamp assembly and making its way across the fender. Once you feel as though you have it aligned, we're going to press that in. Make sure we have the fender liner out of the way. We have our 8mm headed mounting bolt that goes through the bumper cover into the front fender. Now this one's pretty much right about here. Confirming we're aligned, we'll snug it up. Make sure that that does not move around. It's still aligned. We'll continue on with the fender liner next. We have 3 push clips making their way down. We'll make sure that we tuck this behind the fender lip here. The rest of this is going to go along the outside of the bumper cover. We have our 3 push clips for this. Just go ahead and line them up. You know what to do. Press it in the center there to lock it down. Now, of course, we have to do the same to the other side, but let's make our way under the front corner. Under the front corner, let's get this wiring harness secured. We're going to take this black connector, leads over to this area. Make sure it's facing the right direction. We'll bring this up, press that in. Lock and tab. Line it up, press it in. Double check to make sure everything's secured in place. It's time for the corner plastic. We'll bring this into position. We're going to make sure we align all the areas for our mounting bolts. You're going to have to tug this. Once you do have it positioned, you can start in the mounting bolts. We have all three of those started in. As you remember, there is another one that's tucked into this area, so we can flex this panel down and we'll install that mounting screw as well. There's that one. Now let's make our way to the outer corner. We'll press this up. Now we'll pull this down. We're looking up in this area. We need to align it and install our push clip. Just come in at an angle if necessary. We're pressing up, locking it in. Do the same on both sides and we'll continue on with our panel. Let's get the screw in this panel as well. Now this whole corner is done. We're going over to the other side of the vehicle to repeat the exact same process, and then we're along the center of the front bumper cover. Along the front area here, we have the very center. We're going to gently flex this, and I'm sliding it above the front bumper cover. Now that we have that pressed up, we should have a bolt port here, and then a push clip port, making our way towards the outside of each side of this shield. I'm going to go ahead and put in the push clip first, line it up, lock it down. Let's get that 8mm headed bolt in next. Double check all the way across, confirming everything's properly secured, and we'll make our way out from under the vehicle. Okay, friend, we finished our installation. You're going to take the vehicle for a road test and just listen for any odd noises coming from along the front of the vehicle. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.